dive bar for Shad.
Yeah.
Ooh, this place is so seedy. Oh, we'll have the charcuterie.
I don't see any fresh basil on that. That's where they go wrong.
It's a crouton with ketchup on it.
They even have those long, fancy plates.
Was this with people from work or friends?
Both.
What?
Aw.
Your friends and people you
my
work
friends
with?
and my coworkers.
All right, let's get into it. What do you do?
Oh my! It's like secret CIA stuff.
What?
I mean, I review content for a prominent.
Oh, you work for Popeyes.
Social media.
Oh, you work for Popeyes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I work for Popeyes. Yes.
Yeah.
Is this a common parlance, or is
No.
this just our
No.
other friend who works for Popeyes?
Yeah, I know this other friend.
Okay.
And I work for Popeyes as well.
Cool. Yeah.
I just love their chicken.
Wait. So you've seen horrible stuff then? Right.
Yes.
Wait, video content
And
or
boring
post?
stuff.
Like written text?
All the above: videos, images, text, you name it.
I don't want to get you in trouble, though.
Don't get me in trouble.
Should we not be talking about this?
Let's definitely get into it and tag it whenever we release it, and then I don't know, promote this podcast at Popeyes.
Yeah.
We plan on standing in front of a Popeyes and handing out CDs of this podcast.
Oh, that'd be
Mini
great.
discs.
We should do some real guerrilla marketing.
Yeah.
That'd be dope if for some reason we were just big with Popeyes fans.
They just
Whenever
have a-
we boosted on Popeyes Network, we just tag
They have a great
people who
marketing
also like
team.
Popeyes.
Their chicken and their ads are heavily guarded. I don't know if you guys knew that about Popeyes.
All right, welcome back to We Are Definitely Afraid of the Dark. What's up with daddies?
Yeah, it's here.
We're trying to come up with a name for our listeners and the acronym for the podcast. I can't see
It's
Emma's
making-
mouth, but her eyes.
I did
speak
not
volumes.
approve of that.
Hey, my wet daddies.
I love wet daddies.
What
It
that?
sounds like you're saying wet daddy.
Yeah, I heard one.
And I
Who's
actually-
to say we're not?
I like that better.
Okay.
What if we just? It's maybe an underserved genre or a demographic of people. Just
Wet
daddies. Who are wet. They're underserved. They need podcast content and towels, quite frankly. My name is Stephen Smith. This is the Scary Movie Podcast for people who are scared of everything. I'm Stephen Smith. I'm scared of everything. With me, as always,
I'm Emma Holder, and I'm even more scared of even more things.
the most scared. And then, of course,
I'm Kyle Romero. I'm the horror Sherpa. I'm not scared of anything.
we have a guest this week, and I'm very excited about it because it is our first genuinely also scared guest.
One of us.
One of us. It's improviser, comedian, Veronica Rubens!
Hi, guys. I'm glad to round out the scary cat trifecta over here.
Yeah, you're definitely
Oh,
helping
it
us tip the
feels
I'm
so
scales.
really
good.
overpowered right now.
I love it.
Helping us tip the scales.
Veronica can get a vote this time.
Yeah, this is okay. So this is controversial. Well, we're coming out the gate hard
This is
with
me
controversial
absolutely
decisions.
being an asshole.
So Veronica, just as a little bit of backstory, this has been slowly evolving over time. But we ask you to bring movies to the table, and then generally speaking, as a guest, you don't get to vote on what we watch. Like you culling it down to 3 choices is your vote. And then we get a vote, Emma and I, and then Kyle, controversially, maybe not, he gets a statistically insignificant vote. So his vote will never matter.
Half.
Yeah,
It
half a
matters sometimes.
If there's a
Tiebreaker.
tie,
I mean,
you
tell
get to
yourself
break
what
the
you
tie.
need to know.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
But maybe we do need to give you like a little bit more skin in the game.
This is madness. This is utter chaos.
I think we owe our guest just this once, never again.
Until there's another
A choice.
coward guest
Am
on
I
the
already
show.
gonna ruin it?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm already gonna
You
ruin
are
it.
Perfect.
breaking up the
You're
van.
doing great. You're
Veronica,
doing
you
great.
coward! We had a good thing going.
Oh my God.
I'm the one who is quitting.
That would nobody would see that coming.
No.
What a twist.
I honestly will watch all 3. So my vote is just like a throwaway.
Okay, cool. That's a
Oh, you want to vote now? Because she wants to watch 3 movies.
Yeah, we're
Did you hear
watching
that?
all
good.
3.
She said she'd watch any of the 3.
No, I heard
Yeah.
all 3.
Well, yeah, technically.
That's a long episode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Veronica, ostensibly new to this country, she doesn't understand how language works. For your benefit, I'm assuming you just want to watch one of them. Well, let's get into your scared level. Is that fair? Is it fair
Yeah.
to characterize you as a coward?
Oh my God, yes. I take it as a compliment
Okay,
at this point. On a level from 0 to scariest thing ever, I'm definitely like a -10.
Oh, okay, great. So you
Yeah.
do not watch any of these movies?
No.
Not
But
for
you've
fun.
seen these 3.
I've seen snippets. They're like classics. So
Right,
you've
so
like
they're in
seen
the-
the
Yeah.
you know, the scene or whatever and all the jokes about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That could be anything.
That could be
That
literally
could be
anything.
You guys have no idea what I'm talking about.
Did you like? Do you have any sort of like childhood phobias that have stayed with you into adulthood?
The first time I think I never liked scary movies, but the first time I watched one was like forcibly in school. I had to watch Psycho.
What?
In school?
Yeah.
In school?
In school.
Wait,
for-
at a
What
class?
grade?
Yeah, it was like a
College.
filmography class or
High school or
something.
college? It's got to be.
It
Yeah,
was
it's gotta
high
be.
school. Sorry,
Okay.
yes. It was
Oh.
high school.
I did watch it in college.
Yeah.
And
Fair
it didn't even, it was actually, it had a really good plot and it was a good movie. And I didn't think it affected me until I went to take a shower later.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm good for
And
the
now
next
you
month.
you fully shower with like the curtain pulled back.
Oh yeah, like someone has to be there that I
Right.
know and I'm comfortable with.
Right.
Mold's a huge problem. There's water all over your
Yeah.
bathroom.
Oh yeah, it's an issue. And then from then on, whenever I saw scary movies, I had to like leave the place by myself, and all of a sudden it was like foggy and dark and weird
Right,
noises, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be a zombie attacked
Yeah.
right now or die.
Not to be too forward, do you live alone? Do you live with roommates? Do you live with a partner?
Whoa. Right now I live with a married couple, which has kind of been my
Nobody told you?
shtick recently.
That's always bad news. This is
I
the
didn't
scariest
even
thing that's ever come
know.
up on this
I
podcast.
didn't even know.
It's bad because you always lose every argument. It's always two against one.
It is, and we all share one bathroom,
Oh no.
Mm.
and that's scary
God
in itself. Yeah. It's,
Yikes.
Let's talk about what we're scared of this week, or maybe more specifically, what Emma scared of this week.
You know, it's interesting. I haven't had any it's the same old stuff. My dog's still being scary sometimes.
Right.
He's not big. He's not actually scary, but he does this haunted shit that he'll stare off and growl at nothing, or run out of the room and growl at something.
We should do an episode where we straight up do a seance. That'd be lit.
I love
That
that.
would
With
be
Saul,
cool.
with your dog Saul.
I will
Um,
watch from afar.
Veronica, are you down?
I'm 100%
If we
not
Facebook Live it,
down.
will you definitely get in there and start jamming that
See,
heart
that
button?
stuff, it's wild. I'm not scared of seances or anything like that.
What are you?
What?
What
What is your
even are you?
barometer?
I wouldn't go anywhere
Of fear.
near that.
I used
shit.
to have seances all the time in middle school. Okay, so I love witch shit. And I saw The Craft.
But didn't you tell Naomi to tell
That is a
Lance
great
not to have
movie.
us watch The Witch?
That looked scary.
But that's
you
a
like-
classic witch.
Yeah, but I like fun teen witch.
You like
you are an
fashion
enigma.
witch.
Yeah, I loved The Craft. It was a little too scary.
It's great. Yeah.
But
Feruza, is that her name?
Veruza
Balk.
Balk.
She's terrifying, just
Yeah.
as a human.
Just as a lovely woman, I'm sure. Definitely typecast.
Yeah, but
as-
terrifying.
Definitely
yeah,
a scary
those eyes
person.
are piercing and
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah.
But so that movie came out when I was in 6th or 7th grade, and we would have sleepovers every
course.
weekend and do seance shit. And I seance light.
But Ouija
Like,
or what? what are we
Ouija
talking about?
boards,
Light as a
stiff
feather.
light as a
Yeah.
feather, stiff as a board, and then a few other things just telling a story about you falling off a building and you'd fall, just suggestion stuff.
Just putting bad ideas into each other's head
Yeah.
for fun.
Where there was one where we would fill each other with bags of sand. Not really.
Wait, what? You
So it was always a
trap people?
storytelling thing. No. We'd cut them open, not really, again, just in their imaginations.
okay? I'm sorry.
It's like a guided meditation that's creepy.
So you
Oh.
basically hypnotized your friends and made them think that they were filled with sand?
I mean, they did it to me too.
Oh, okay.
We all participated in this. Yeah.
Light as a feather, your butt's made of sand.
I just remember they filled me with sand and I was like, oh my God, I'm so heavy. I can't get up.
I'm
and it
gonna-
was so cool.
I'm going to agree with Emma on this. I actually just realized I was less of a coward when I was younger because I used to watch Are You Afraid of the Dark by myself in the dark. Cowardice came
No
later
way.
in life.
I'm the same way. I was like a little creepy kid,
Yeah.
but like I'm like totally not now.
Oh
what
no.
happened to us?
I would like to clarify that is not what I'm saying. I did.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
like doing girl time witchcraft with my friends.
Even now.
I do think, speaking
Sure.
for Kyle and myself, I feel like the sort of like cultural traditions of like the preteen girls sleepover, they sound way doper than like a bunch of like boys. Well, I mean, I don't even think like boys have sleepovers in the same ways in our sort of heteronormative, heavily gendered society.
I used to host big sleepovers at my family's old house. Just like 10 or 12 friends.
Yeah.
But it mostly just ended up with everybody wrestling,
Eating
and
pizza.
farting and eating pizza and watching movies.
Yeah.
Friend of mine got a concussion one time because he got a tetherball knocked over on
God.
a tetherball pole knocked over on his head.
Nice.
That was pretty lit.
I mean, we would do all that stuff too, but there was just also witch and gossip time.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but like those two things
Yeah.
are the
That
best
makes
parts
it,
of
yeah.
those things. Yeah. I have a sort of scary story that's related to dog stuff. That is, so not dog possession. Sorry, because then we could have split the bill on the dog seance. But the other night, so I finally finished. I'm always kind of like reading like a few things at once. So I finally finished that
Stephen King book.
The Michelle
McNamara one
Oh,
about the
okay,
Golden
yeah.
State Killer. So like we've talked about this before, both personally and on the podcast, where it's like I have a very poor personal or like home security. So it's an accident waiting to happen. So Claire and I were in bed sleeping, and then there's like this loud like drum sound that is very clear, and it's inside the house for sure, and it's 3:30 in the morning. This is like a week ago when there was a full moon, so like everything in the house is like moonlit, and so you can like see, but there's also very clear shadows. And also, full disclosure, this is a very safe circle. I don't sleep with clothes on.
My man!
Only
So,
we know now.
So then
He doesn't know we're recording.
yeah, he doesn't even know.
wait, you assholes! What are these mics? You've got me. I've been.
We finally got Steven to confess.
So Claire's varying levels of insomnia, so sometimes she'll just get up in the middle of the night and like write or like watch stuff. And so I was like, oh, she's definitely like watching Netflix, because that's the sound. Like we have a TV that when Netflix turns on, it goes wow, wow.
Yeah.
And so I reach over and she's in bed, and so and then she goes, and then she's in the level of sleep where like she's not making any sense, but she's talking, and so she's like never sleep, never sleep, never sleep. She just keeps saying it over and over again, and I'm like like touching her like, what is happening? And so then I just like take this hand off her and I grab my penis, and then I'm just now like moving slowly through the house. We don't have a bat, we don't have anything, and so I around the corner into our living room, which you guys have been in, and the TV's on, and I'm like, so now I'm like conflicting feelings of like someone's in the house. This is their elaborate ploy to draw me
you
out.
out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I look in closets. I look behind the curtain in the bathroom. I go into the kitchen. Well, also we're fully facing a suburban street.
Yeah.
So like the
They're
living room
watching
being
you.
lit up is like me like dancing around. And so finally I go into the living room.
Were the lights off this whole time?
Lights out in the rest of the house, but
Okay.
the TV it's got a real Ring vibe. And then I just go, I tiptoed towards it, and then our dog Clover is like in repose, hands crossed, and he's just looking at me like, "What's your fucking deal, my dude?" And just short of his actual paw is the remote. So he must have just like plopped down and turned the television
Yeah.
on and navigated to Netflix.
Incredible.
Is your crotch the thing you protect?
Oh no,
From bad
it's
guys.
more about decorum because I don't want neighbors to see it
Yeah.
out.
Oh, because
also,
you were
like,
nude. And
yeah,
you're-
I was
okay.
naked.
I get it.
No time to throw on clothes. If you're in a home invader situation and you're being attacked, do you stop to put on clothes?
So this
just
is,
go out?
Steven, I think about this all the time. I'm so pleased this has come up because, full disclosure, I also sleep fully nude.
Whoa. Everything's coming
we're
out.
changing the
guys.
podcast.
It's guys, it's the only way to go. And I think
We are definitely afraid of boxer shorts.
I think constantly about what I would do if there was an intruder in my house and I'm naked as shit. That I don't know what I would do.
I think you have the element of surprise, right? Because you're like, haha, like, you know.
Yeah, I guess so. They're like, whoa. But if it's like the Golden State Killer, he's like, my dick's out too. Like, you're both just like
Or he's
staring
like,
each other down.
Half the work's already done for me.
Right. Thank you for
Thank
doing
you.
that. I appreciate that.
See, I sleep in clothing because I let my dog sleep with me, and he's a real licker. So I wear clothing to bed.
Yeah, that makes
sense.
There's
Yeah.
boundaries you don't want to cross.
Yeah, exactly. So I wear pajamas. I mean, not like real sweatpants. Anyway.
Let's get specific.
I usually wear a tank and sweatpants.
Right.
What exactly do you wear?
Terry on top,
but-
a nice cotton silk blend on bottom.
So, I don't. The thing I don't know is, would I hide or try to fight?
Oh.
Well, I think you don't have a choice, right? If you come around the corner and someone is just there, you got to go buck wild.
But
Yeah.
I'm not. If I'm in bed and I hear something,
You're not gonna. Yeah, I think.
I text my roommates. That is one nice thing about roommates. You can text them and be like, "Did you guys hear that?" I've only done this a couple times.
I also wear clothing to bed because I just
stop
always.
bragging.
It's more because I always have lived with roommates and I
Fair enough.
like have a fear they're gonna just come on in. But I do have this weird fear of like if there were a burglar or a ghost, they would like touch my feet. So my feet, no matter what, have to be covered.
Blankets
That
over.
makes sense.
You know it's a hot day when I let them go uncovered.
Yeah.
Because the whole time I'm like, some ghost is just gonna pluck
I know what you
at
mean.
my pinky toes.
Yeah, I have to wear a blanket.
Yeah.
Wear a blanket. I have to have a blanket even if it's like hot because
Yeah.
I don't feel protected. If I really want a weighted blanket,
Oh,
that seems like heaven to me.
Yes,
Yeah.
while they would be great, Emma, no, you're just making yourself more vulnerable.
You're
to
trapped
I
all
in
have
of
thought
yourself
about
in
that
your
too.
bed.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
basically
you don't
trapped
you don't have to
myself.
decide between hiding and fighting if you are like just prone and vulnerable.
What's everybody's feeling on having not a gun? I don't know. I don't think we're gun
Good.
people here.
We're not
No.
But what's everybody's feeling on having a weapon like a bat or something underneath the
Well,
bed?
I've never thought about it.
Me neither.
And after that experience, I was like, yeah, I guess we got.
Maybe
get a
I
bat.
should just get a
Get
bat.
I think I'm more afraid of ghosts than humans. Because literally my only protection is the blanket. I'm not like, I should probably have a knife or something.
You'd swing that bat right through that
Yeah.
boy.
You're like, literally, my only protection is the sage that is constantly burning in my home.
These 100% Egyptian cotton sheets.
I don't know if I'd be too nervous, but I maybe I should have a bat. I'm worried I would accidentally.
You
like-
would.
I would accidentally hurt a human or dog I care about.
You're like, normally in this situation I would text, but I'm feeling emboldened by this Louisville slugger.
I have a bat now.
Normally a burglar is like a professional. So me, who's someone who's like never wielded a weapon ever, like how am I going to overpower
well,
that?
that's why you got to hit the cages.
Yeah,
Start
man.
swinging that bad
All
boy.
right.
My dad, he woke up in the middle of the night one night. I was not living with him at the time. He woke up in the middle of the night and beat the shit out of a fan because he thought
an
it was
oscillating fan?
He had a bat and it was an oscillating fan in the corner, and he woke up just kind of out of it, and he saw it out of the corner of his eye, and he swung the bat at it.
when
That
you-
could be me.
When you were telling that story, I was like, your dad's famous?
I was thinking that too.
Why are one of his fans breaking in? Let's talk about the movies, shall we?
Yeah.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so Veronica, the way that we ask you to do this is you've got 3 in mind. We've got a bit of a
Yes.
special case this week. Emma definitely already knows the movies. Kyle knows the movies this time too.
Well,
or you know.
No, he kind of does.
I
yeah.
kind of don't.
Okay, cool.
So here's what happened.
All right.
Veronica checked with me because we wanted to make sure that that I had access to these so that she didn't have to go to the library, which, as we've established, is the worst place there is.
Dylan's always there.
Dylan's always there.
I love the library.
I'm just
I actually
kidding.
love
I love the
libraries.
library. I'm
They're tiny,
totally
they're tiny.
kidding.
Terrible.
It's a
Yeah,
bit.
Socialism.
But so she told me 3 movies, and I was like, "Oh, cool, those are great." But then we just like kept talking about the movies, and I think I made you a little self-conscious, which I did not intend to do. But you
No.
came back with a list of other movies, and I was like, "Oh wow, those are even more like well known." Like we were looking for stuff that's a little more in the canon. And so there's a list of maybe like 6 or so that you sent me. I don't know which of those
Okay.
3 that you select.
Okay, cool. So just go through them one by one. Tell us what it's about, or maybe why you picked it, and then we'll sort of talk about it, and then we'll eventually pick one.
Okay. So you didn't make me change my mind. I like have so little knowledge of scary movies.
Yes.
Like I literally just Google searched like best scary movies.
Perfect.
Like super
That's what we're looking
simple.
for.
And then also at my happy hour I was drunk and I was like, you guys, like what are like tell me your favorites. So literally I made this whole happy hour like help me decide.
I love it. Be sure to promote the episode to the happy hour whenever you
Yeah, guys, my friends and my coworkers, yes, it's possible.
You can have it all.
So the 3 I picked, I feel like are all kind of iconic and classic. I
Dope.
haven't seen any of
agree.
them. But here goes. Number 1, I picked Alien.
Hey.
So that's the first one, right?
Jaws in
Yes.
space. Yeah, the first one.
Sigourney Weaver is a badass.
That's
and
not like game over, man, game over. It's not
No,
Space Marines.
that's Aliens.
It's Aliens, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I love the scene that
Have you
we've
seen it?
already all seen. No, but you know the
Yeah.
one with the 2 little
With the
alien
chest
heads.
burst.
Not trying to give anything away, but that's why I chose it. And then Silence of the Lambs. It's a classic.
Woo!
I've never seen it.
Oh, it
Neither
may
have
be in
I.
my top 5.
It's very
Like
scary.
flat
Have you seen
out,
it, Steven?
I have seen it.
all movies.
But
Yeah.
it's so heavily parodied, so we already kind of know a bit
Yeah.
about it.
Oh man, it
do.
will not soften the blow.
Oh really? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping with
I don't
all
think
of
it's
these.
that
I just
bad.
think, well, going back to the thing that you were talking about before, where you're like, you're more afraid of ghosts than
Yes.
real things. I'm afraid of real things that can happen, and that to me just feels like, I mean, it's disturbing.
It's a serial killer movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of people don't even, and
Think of it as
they're
a-
wrong, but a
yeah.
lot of people don't consider it a horror movie,
Mhm.
which is insane. They go, oh, it's a thriller.
Right.
It's like, guys, come on. It's dismissive of horror movies
Mm.
because it won an Oscar. It's a thriller.
Well, and then in a way, like Alien can fall into that same semantic trap where it's like a monster movie,
Mhm.
but it's not necessarily like horror.
Yeah.
Maybe
And
for some
I-
reason I'm like,
I hate thrillers. Like I hate jump scares
Yes.
and like being anxious. So this actually is hard for me. I swear.
as a cat fully jumps on
As-
you.
yeah,
to
our little jump
underline
scare
that point.
kitty.
Excellent timing.
My third choice is Scream.
Ah!
Ooh.
Another iconic
Wait,
film.
So-
Have you seen it,
I have not.
Emma? Have you seen?
I haven't seen any of these.
Steven, have you seen Scream?
I have seen Scream. I very much love it.
Okay.
I've seen Silence of the Lambs. It's also very, very good.
Mhm.
So these are all very personally terrifying for me. Like I have a backstory for each one. Like these
Well-
are two of the movies that I had told to me as a kid
Yes.
because I couldn't handle not knowing.
Scream and Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Silence of the Lambs was the first scary movie I ever had told to me because my best friend Emily saw it and I could not handle not knowing about this
Yeah.
big Oscar movie. I was like 8, whatever. And so we sat on her bedroom floor and she told me the entire plot and I was terrified for years. But I wonder if I wouldn't be terrified now because I know it all.
So I think that will help, and I also think that we've established that like you're more scared of like ghosts and supernatural stuff, right?
I'm scared of it all. Like
Sure,
I'm very
but-
scared of serial
me.
killers.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you don't do as poorly with like gore as
That's true.
Steven does.
I
And
don't mind blood.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. It's hard for me to have perspective on it, but I feel like
I think to me, Alien is the scariest movie. Alien as a franchise in particular is like really hard because it is a mix of those two things. It is like very gross and violent, and then it's also rife with jump scares.
it's body horror.
It's body
body horror.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
me, I'm also very scared of Alien. Personally, just as a woman who could be pregnant ever.
You're like could be in space. Could
The
be
idea,
Alien.
the idea of like that's what I think of when I think of pregnancy. Like
Yeah.
this
Oh,
thing.
That's sad.
No, it's not that uncommon. Have you know what I mean? Like that's like a very gross image.
This sort of like parasitic thing.
Yeah, and like
This
just
is a common trope.
yeah. And I also we went on the like history of movies ride at MGM Studios when I was like 10 or 11. And I made my parents take me to Disney World. And I didn't this is not billed as a scary ride because it's just like, oh, journey through movies. You see the Wizard of Oz shit, and you see this, and you see that. And then there's a fucking alien, animatronic alien. Yes, I specified it wasn't real. Like that. Like,
was it fucking?
it was fucking other aliens. No, it came like towards you a little, like on its track.
Oh my god!
And I was sitting on this side because I didn't know I had to request the middle. Because normally, if I went on anything that was remotely scary,
You get the
I
middle.
demanded
But also,
the
it's
middle
so
seat.
tonally such a hard turn from like
Yeah.
We
Wizard of
represent the
I
Lollipop
remember-
Guild.
I started having a little panic attack and tried to get like my dad to switch seats with me, which we couldn't do because there was like a bar down. And so like I was like, my dad had to like be like, you're okay, like chill out, little child.
Yeah.
Not little child, like 10 or 11-year-old.
that's little. I mean,
That's
Fifth
good.
or
Give,
sixth
give-
grade.
give yourself a little leeway. It's
I thought
fine.
first I thought you were gonna say your dad like wouldn't switch with you because he's like, nah, you gotta do this.
You gotta go through it. Trial by fire.
He had known me for 10 or 11 years. They like,
Okay.
they just like, I don't know. To be fair, I don't know what I would have done with me as a child because I was actually scared of more things. Like
I wish we could time travel.
I
That would be so cool.
was so fucking scared. I had so many routines at night that we had to do. They had to turn my light on for me because you had to go across the room to turn it on.
and toilet sharks.
And there was
etc.
absolutely no way I was ever going to turn my light on for myself.
You didn't do the turn off, run with your eyes closed, and jump into bed scenario.
No, that's for people who pretend they're scared
So
of things.
my-
This is genuine abject terror.
Okay, 'cause that's
my
what I did.
my bedside lamp was the only light in my room.
Okay.
Like I didn't have an overhead light in my room for some reason. Probably they needed to fix it, and like so this is on them. But so when they would make me go to bed, or even if I was just going into my room after dark, I would request a parent or a sister, the one, turn on my light for me, so I could enter my dark room.
there's that telling pause after you finish this story where I was like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That is a handful.
That probably went on till I was 10 or 11 or
Tight.
12,
Wow.
13, 14.
Let's vote on these movies, guys.
Yes, sorry.
No,
No,
perfect.
that great content.
Okay,
But
so
I don't know which one. Like, honestly, they all
Emma,
are scary to
I
me.
feel the same way, and that's why I'm like, ooh, controversial choice. Do I cut my vote in half and give Kyle half of my point? Therefore, I'm suddenly making him statistically relevant.
This
Because I've seen, I think I've seen Aliens and not Alien. No, Chestburster's Alien.
well, they chest
I've
burst
seen
in
all
all
of
of
these.
them.
But like, what's his name?
John Hurt.
John Hurt. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
I
I've
think
seen all of these.
I might have seen part of Alien, but definitely left the room. And Scream, I have not seen, but again, I had the plot told to me.
Yeah. And then this is also really hard too because we are consciously from like an editorial standpoint thinking about like we want to get things that are like universal. And these hit
They're all
these are
universal.
all yeah.
Let me tell you where my head's at. Can I walk you through where I'm thinking?
I love
Yeah.
it.
I feel like I broke you guys.
No. This is great
This is
because these
good.
are all
Yeah.
good choices, and I love the debate.
Okay.
So, Alien, it's slower than you remember.
Okay, fair enough.
Every time I've tried to show someone Alien, I'm like, I fucking love this movie.
It's
It's my
terrifying.
time, and they're all like, this is the slowest thing because it's Sigourney Weaver walking around on a spaceship for an hour.
Yeah.
and then shit pops off. Again, everybody listening, don't fucking come at me. I love Alien, but that's what the movie is.
Okay.
Scream. We've done a lot of slasher stuff. I feel like we've been there. We just saw Nightmare on Elm Street's another Wes Craven one. I'm just worried.
We're doing Friday the 13th.
Yeah, we're
next
doing
week.
Friday the 13th for our live show.
Is
I'm
that
just
the
kinda-
same man?
No, it's different people, but it's another slasher. It's
Sure,
we're
sure.
just serial killer
Kids
slasher.
getting killed.
Silence of the Lambs. I'm really leaning heavily towards that because it's so iconic and it's I think it's the best movie of these three flat out. Like I love it. And so I don't know. I could talk about Silence of the Lambs forever. I love that movie. My vote is Silence of the Lambs. There it is. I'm putting it in.
Your half vote.
Okay, I do have a vote now.
You-
I'm not
you
giving
took
my
it back?
point after all.
That is the best.
Because
I should have waited.
I think Scream.
Ooh.
No
Okay.
justification.
Okay.
I would do, but definitely, I agree, no Alien.
Yeah, I think let's toss. Can we all eliminate Alien?
I'm okay with that.
Yes.
I'm
Even
so
though it's great.
torn because I've already like been terrified of both of these movies. But also like kind of desperately wanted to see them because they're part of the
It's
zeitgeist.
perfect for this. It's
Yeah.
exactly
That's
So-
what all three of them were to me. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted to, but I'm such
But
a
you
chicken.
just- too much
And
of a
also, Emma, take their power away. Take
It
the
doesn't
power
work
or
that
take
way.
it
back
back.
the
It doesn't
night.
work that way. Eeny, meeny. No. Which one, honestly, do you think will scare me less?
I honestly don't know. I mean, Scream's goofier.
Scream has humor that Silence of the Lambs doesn't have. Silence of the Lambs is like more of an outlier. Scream is just stuff happening in houses, which to me is why it's scary.
Scream will allow you to check out of it more. So I think you will be less scared of Scream. But I think you'll get more out of Silence of the Lambs because I think it's a much better movie. This is my argument.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I'm sorry, Steven.
That's
Let's
fair.
do Silence of the Lambs. Because that's the original scary movie I haven't seen that like had that impact on me. So now that I'm seeing it probably like 25 years after I got told it.
I love it. Emma, I'm so proud of you.
Well, you'll get the phone call tonight when I can't sleep.
That's fine.
Nope.
I'm here for
As
you.
we established, text your roommates. All right, let's watch this movie. Okay, we're back. We finally watched Silence of the Lambs. This is an event that's maybe 17 years in the making now for Emma. As we discussed,
Sweet.
as we discussed,
I'm not 25.
No. I just mean because that's when it initially came out, and your friend told you all about it. Maybe.
It came out 25 years ago. Anyway. Yes.
All right, perfect. I am in this. I'm starting to recognize now when we watch these movies what a sort of Herculean task this whole endeavor is, because I have crazy brain. Like after basically 2 hours of being like really highly wound up and stuff like that, then the task that sits before us is to basically have like a cogent conversation that is somehow
Yeah.
supposed to be entertaining as well. And I feel like I'm in a fog. So sorry if I couldn't do the math.
I'm sorry. It is helping me to focus on things like that. Because I also feel like not in a fog, just like honestly, I'm like very emotional right now. Like I'm tearing up a little, and I'm not like
my eyes are moist.
I'm not sad, but like I'm kind of crying.
Wow, guys.
So just to set the stage, Kyle, as we were sitting down to watch this, I don't remember this is on mic anymore. I don't remember what anything is anymore. But you said you'd seen this movie 700 times.
I watch it
estimate.
Probably once a year.
It's your Christmas movie, your annual Christmas movie or something.
Honestly, probably.
Buffalo girl, won't you come out tonight? Won't you come out tonight? Won't you come out tonight?
Dear listener, everyone in this room is looking at me as if I have actually skinned a woman alive and am wearing her skin as a suit. They are judging me so hard right now, and I feel it. That silence is confirmation that I'm right.
Silence of the friends.
I just don't get how you can want to.
Okay,
It had a good plot.
It's
It's not a bad movie. It's just so upsetting for me. I can intellectually comprehend that it's not you're not rattled.
Right. I'm
but
not rattled
can't
at all.
really get it.
You're not rattled at all?
No, again, because I've seen it so many times.
But
Were
I
you
also
scared?
just think,
Yeah, the first time I saw it, of course it affected
Oh,
me.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, I was probably 13 actually.
Oh, okay.
And I watched it with my mom. My mom was like, "Oh, you're going to love this." And she was 100% right.
Wait, had she seen it?
Yeah, she'd seen it.
So she saw it and then was like, "Yes, this is cool for my 13-year-old
weird
to watch."
son will
What a
love
sweet
this movie.
moment between you and your mother.
Very cherished memory,
What
except
is-
for the tuck part. And she was like, "Oh, I forgot about that."
Oh, zoinks, yeah.
Oh.
What is the kind of like internal calculus though for a parent? Because like I was thinking the other day about when we had Lance on, and he was saying that like his parents read the book It to him and his brother, and I'm just kind of like, well, I read those when I was really young too, and then my parents definitely like knew the subject matter, but like weren't active participants in my moral demise. But it's just I just can't.
think-
It's interesting that you
so-
saw it at such a young age. Well, I guess 13.
Well, yeah, it's not that
that's not
young.
crazy
It's not that
young.
young.
Okay.
I think maybe parents experience a little bit of what I'm experiencing right now, in that all of this stuff I'm extremely familiar with, and I just think like, okay, yeah, sure, they'll have some trouble with it, but it's not going to be that bad. And then to see all of you bedraggled and just
I love
completely
that word.
damaged, I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe not, I guess.
Well, I'm also thinking just generally about like our sort of ratio now because, like we said, Veronica's on our side. So like the tenor in here feels heavier than it has been with past movies, and arguably this is not as sort of like nerve fraying as maybe like Inside was. But I think there's just more of us in the room who are like,
I want to stress, controversial as to whether this is even a horror movie.
I know.
But it is
Yeah.
psychologically so
I
terrifying.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like, I think it's scarier because it's better.
I think,
she's got it.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. we
it's
have a winner.
scarier
True.
because it's a very well-made movie. It knows exactly what it's doing to you
Yeah.
at every moment. It's so totally in control of what you're looking at and what it wants you to be feeling.
Veronica, were you like actively watching? Because
Yeah,
a homegirl
I did.
was. I mean,
I was on my computer doing work.
fully not watching.
No,
Um,
I'm more okay with gore and yeah, like you said before, like realistic stuff. Like there was no ghosts or really jump scares or anything, so I was pretty cool with it. I've also, well, I don't want to. Can I give
You
away
can spoil.
things?
This is a
Yeah.
25-year-old movie,
Okay,
as we've established.
there was the
We spoil. Spoil.
the
Spoil.
part
Spoil.
where
Spoil,
they
spoil.
find the like body, like kind of butterfly looking.
Uh-huh.
Like I saw they kind of have that in a Saw scene as well.
Wait.
Uh-oh.
Buried the lead here. You've seen a fucking Saw movie?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't mind gore as much. It's like no, I mean, I didn't love it. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Milady,
No, I
you offended me. Because to me, I feel like this is a very interesting reveal. Because that is off limits, I think, for us.
Oh no, I will never.
We'll
watch
never do
those
Saw.
movies.
And you've seen a Saw movie. All right, I see you, dog.
This is no different than Emma admitting she likes witchcraft in her
But, like,
bedroom
fun
with
witchcraft.
other young girls.
Wait, so you've seen the first Saw or multiple
Yeah,
Saws?
I've seen like 1
Through
3,
6.
and all of them. I'm a huge fan.
You've seen multiple Saws?
Yeah, you know.
Well, Saw 1 is supposed to be very good. I'd
It's-
actually maybe make an exception for it.
Jesus
Saw
Christ.
1 is plot-wise really interesting. It's
Uh-huh.
kind of fun. It's not, I wouldn't
No,
call it like
I-
a great movie, but it's fun.
I'm not going to use the word fun
I would
for
use the word fun.
any of
Emma
the
just let in
Saw
a little sunlight.
movies.
I just
at
had to
all.
make sure it's still light out and nobody was lurking.
Let me just check the window. Yeah, that's not a bit.
But you were talking about the guy. So there's we're maybe act 2.
Like,
A
that to
guy's
me-
sort of disemboweled and then in a kind of
'Cause
Christ
that was probably the
pose.
grossest
In the movie we just watched.
moment,
Yes, that was creepy.
But I've kind of seen a moment like that already.
Mm-hmm. So you were
So I was like, oh, the skin butterfly.
Seen it.
Seen it.
yeah, that was
on.
creepy.
all right. Well, so we've established that this is a movie that we watched. Let's get into it, babies. Let's walk through.
Heavy
What, wet
lifting you had to
daddies?
do to.
Yeah, what up with daddies? I know all my with daddies are out there desperate for the recap. I think. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. It is you kid about the sort of heavy lifting that's involved, but it
No,
is
I'm not kidding.
All right,
I
let's
could
get
see it.
into
Yeah.
it because there's a
I feel sick a little. Like,
Well-
honestly, my stomach hurts right now.
spoiler alert. My sister saw this in the theater to tell you what sort of stock I come from, and she. I don't know at what point I got to track it down and find out, but she ran out of the theater vomiting, and puked and ran like a cross country
What?
runner, and so this has been. She's not
My level?
not your level in terms
He's
of
just
all of the
pointing to me.
anxiety, Emma, but
She's not as crazy as you.
but I mean, but this is obviously a very upsetting experience that she had in public. So I
Yeah.
mean, this does it, man. I feel like this is maybe one of the first instances in which we've gotten to something that is really, really interested in seeing it, and then also every fiber of your being doesn't want to
Yeah.
actually sit through it.
Yeah.
All right, so Jodie Foster plays Clarice Starling. She's an FBI agent in training.
At Quantico, Sundays on NBC. I think it got canceled.
She has a lovely husky voice.
She's got a husky Southern voice, and then she's tasked with basically interviewing Anthony Hopkins' Hannibal Lecter to create a psychological profile for a serial killer that abducts women and partially flays them.
Which we find out later is actually a ploy by Jack Crawford, her boss,
horned-up boss.
She wants him to be her boss because she wants to be in the behavioral science unit. He sends her in there hoping that it will start a conversation about Buffalo Bill, but he initially tells her, "No, don't worry, it's not about Buffalo Bill. We just want you to get a
fill out this profile to, I guess, build up their psychopath data.
Why
database.
was he suspicious that? Why did he think she would work? Because she's a girl.
Yeah, he thought that her particular type and look would attract Hannibal Lecter, which he's absolutely right. Immediately as soon as Hannibal Lecter sees her, he's intrigued by her. And it's not even, I don't know. They sort of play it a little bit, but it's like beyond like a sexual attraction. He definitely is.
Mm-hmm. Well, he wants to eat her.
Well, I think he's just like.
And eat her out. Just kidding. Oh, I just thought of the grossest thing.
Imagine a cannibal. Imagine dating a cannibal who won't go down on you. You're like, oh, what? You'll eat everything else?
DJ Khaled.
Oh,
If DJ Khaled was a cannibal.
what a good bitch.
He's like, I'm a king. I don't do that. And then he's just like
You
eating
eat
human meat.
flesh.
It seemed like every man in this movie was sexually attracted
Well,
to her.
I mean, this is what she is. She's irresistible to everybody whose path she comes across in one way or another. We have the guy who's the sort of head of the therapy hospital in Baltimore, who's grade A creep pervert.
Dr. Chilton, incredible.
bug
scumbag.
weirdos.
Very creepy.
He had
two
a
bug
tiny
weirdos.
mouth and a weird chin wrinkle.
That's another character actor. We
That's
don't.
all I could look
Maybe you
at.
know. Maybe you can call Devin.
You've seen him play a scumbag in a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
He's like William Atherton, the guy that played Dickless in Ghostbusters, just like always playing scumbag.
Okay.
And what I love about Chilton is, I mean, lots of things, but how he's like immediately gross, but you can tell he's like putting on his I'm a human face and
Fake,
trying to be charming. And then as soon as he realizes he's not going to get what he wants,
He's an asshole.
He, for the rest of the movie, is like
a thorn in her side.
a villain. Doing everything to stop her.
Yeah, he's like an MRA person before that was a thing.
Yeah.
Like, he's on those Reddit boards. Well, he's dead. Spoiler alert. Anyway, never mind.
Well, we don't see
Or
him
is he?
die.
Oh.
Yeah.
You think Hannibal Lecter didn't succeed?
I don't recall what happened.
Hannibal Lecter as a kind of like conceit or something like that is so interesting because it's the sort of thing that kind of like only exists in fiction, where it's like he's like an intellectual superhero. Like his power is like the ability to sort of like
killer.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Oh,
super
I see
villain.
what you
Super
mean.
villain.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's not like strong. He's not invincible. He doesn't have laser eyes or whatever.
Smart.
But he plays 12th dimensional chess and can manipulate everybody. I mean, there's a scene in it when there's like a cellmate who, spoiler alert, throws cum all over Jodie Foster. And this sort of level of indignity he's a murderer, but it's outside the levels of decorum of what he thinks is acceptable. So he talks the guy into killing himself, into biting it off and swallowing his own tongue. Yeah. I mean, like, it is such good super villainy. It's so scary. It's like scary and compelling in the way that like a slasher villain who's coming to kill you and can't be stopped. It's the same way. It's just like this immovable force who, once he figures out what he wants, like can't be deterred.
He's a shark.
And I think
and a gentleman.
If this movie had just had Hannibal and no Buffalo Bill, I would not be as scared at all. I would just be like, oh, what a fun
psychological
creepy romp.
Right.
Because like the part when he was escaping really did feel like a heist film to me.
Yeah, it was a cool.
And I was like excited about like, whoa, he tricked them. He put someone else's skin on.
So like maybe a note about just like hospitals and basements in this movie too is like they all feel like they're from the 18th century. They all feel like Victorian because we're in all of these like dank, wet basements where like the walls are made out of stone
no
and
windows,
like cobbled. There's like no natural light. It's like weird labyrinths. Like, I mean, like, are there parts of the country that this is like a normal thing?
Well,
because
I think that's kind of, to me, that's kind of part of the point of like, so you commented on the Hannibal's prison, which to me, designing the set that way is like, oh, this is clearly like you watch her descend multiple levels to go here, and then it changes immediately to like you are now in a dungeon.
Yeah,
we put the nastiest people we could find in here
in the dark, in the
and,
deepest hole,
and Hannibal's in the back of the hallway.
Yeah,
we put him as far away from the front door as we could.
Yeah.
And then kind of the same thing with James Gumb. It was just like, he put himself down there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Buffalo Bill.
I think that's all. Yeah, Buffalo Bill.
Yeah. There's this other thing too that we talked about in the beginning, which is like super effective. And I don't really know. I saw this maybe like a dozen years ago, like probably like when I was high school age or something like that. And everybody, and Kyle, you pointed this out, that it's like every person who deals directly with Clarice is like looking right into the camera.
Yeah.
And it's highly unnerving, even when they're like relatively benign, like the bug dudes who she goes to ask about the moths, still looking like right down the barrel of the camera.
Yeah, this movie is specifically engineered to like try and make you feel that male gaze of people that are like looking her up and down. I mean, they shoot Clarice that way too sometimes.
But she's always looking slightly off.
But she's slightly
center.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
She's
softer.
dead on, but she's always not. She's never looking
touch.
in the
woman's
camera.
touch, yeah.
All the men are looking directly into the camera.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that affected, but I feel like later tonight, like right before I go to sleep,
Of course.
like Anthony Hopkins' eyes
Yeah.
are just gonna be in my head.
His eyes are in fucking sane in this movie.
They're crazy.
He's
They're super intense. It's like, like acting. It's like good acting. It's good screen acting. I mean, he's like really good at acting. Wait, who won
take.
awards for this? He presumably.
I
won.
think he
Yeah,
did.
Who didn't?
I think
He was at
the
least
question.
nominated.
Yeah. So was it
I
like
can look it up.
picture, director, screenplay? Like
Yeah,
the
it was
whole
nominated
gamut?
for all that stuff. It's like one of the only horror movies to
Yeah.
ever get nominated. I think it won. Best Picture. I think Hopkins won Best Actor.
Yeah.
Or Best Supporting Actor, actually.
It won Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director.
Damn, dude.
Pretty
Best
fucking good.
Writing Adapted, Best Film Editing, and Best Sound Mixing.
I feel like that's a lot.
Oh no,
for a
the
scary
last two were
movie.
nominees.
Oh.
The last two were just nominees.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
but it won the Big Five.
It won all of
It
them.
won,
the Big Five.
which is very rare
That's
now
crazy.
that you'll win all of those.
Super rare, yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder if it's like why, we talk a lot about like what is and isn't a horror movie, like what sort of like gets to wear that label or not. And because this is like kind of a classically good movie, are people more inclined to say like, oh, it's actually like a psychological
Yes.
thriller or
Yeah.
something like that? Because
Absolutely.
we don't want to out and out call it a horror movie.
Even though somebody gets their fucking
Face eaten
eaten off in
Yeah.
this movie, and
He
people
wears
are
a
wearing
scalp.
skin
And
suits.
Yeah.
There's
And
skin suits, there's a scalp,
all
he's
this
got a
shit.
face
skin
mask.
suits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people are still like, no, it's not a horror movie.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
It's not a slasher movie.
No, it's not a
Right.
slasher
but that's
movie.
I think
Yeah.
I
It's
do
like a fucking
get
monster movie.
that sometimes I only
Yeah.
think of horror as like slasher movies.
Yeah, fair enough.
Um,
Teenagers being chased.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I get that I would still, obviously, I'm traumatized. This is a very scary movie.
Well, so then, like Clarice has this sort of like budding intellectual tete-a-tete like relationship with him, where he like shows an interest in her, and as like a kind of like I don't know, like it's interesting to me that he has this feeling that he kind of needs to confess to, which is like serial killers always somewhat seemingly have, and it seems like he's too smart for that, but like nevertheless, I guess he can't resist the honey trap.
Well, he's
of her.
also he's caught at this point. Like
Oh,
all
that's
of
a
his
good point.
crimes have been uncovered. So I think
Yeah.
he's just like, I'm in here, so I'm just gonna lean into this persona as this guy.
Right.
I think he gets off on like psychoanalyzing people too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no doubt.
For
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
It's
just
like his whole
loving
thing.
that.
Yeah. And so, this movie's got two moving targets as like kind of potential monsters or villains. So the first time we see Buffalo Bill, the serial killer that she's trying to help track down, he entraps his first victim or his fifth victim or sixth or whatever. And it's a woman who is bringing groceries back to, frankly, a very, very shabby apartment. Nevertheless,
not the daughter of a senator's
she is a
apartment.
senator's daughter, but she's living in a place that's
Maybe-
quite frankly beneath her.
You know what, though? Judging Catherine from what we know of her, maybe she was like, fuck that. I'm not going to take my mom's
she's a black
money.
sheep.
Exactly what
She's
I was
a-
thinking.
yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to
actually
take her mom's
very
money.
Smart and logical.
Yeah, man.
Besides helping him, which I've learned to never help someone.
Well, I
now.
mean, society teaches women to be polite. Stay sexy, don't get rude. Hashtag. But when she gets captured by him, it's because she's helping him move like a love seat into the back of his windowless van. And he suggests, hey, man, like maybe just get up in the van and help me
get in
pull her
my
back in.
van.
Which that's how Bundy got him. He
Really?
had a fake cast, and he would
Really?
A fake
his was-
cast?
yes, he put on a fake cast, and he
Oh my
would tell
God.
people like, "Oh, can you give me a hand?" And but his is actually a VW Beetle. He's like trying to load stuff in a VW Bug, and was like, "Hey, give me help," and he would.
So he'd
Or
conk
the-
him on the head and then bundle them into the trunk of the
Yeah,
Beetle?
yeah,
Oof.
or like in the front seat, like in the floorboard, even.
Wow.
This is like kind of reverse, but twice now I've been like putting heavy things into my car, and like men have offered, and I'm like, no, and they're like, all right, well, I offered. Like they got mad that I didn't
Yes,
let them help
I've had that
me,
happen before.
and I just let men help me now to like not have them get mad.
I
at
still
me.
don't, because I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I don't want you near me. I don't know
get the
you.
fuck away.
They get
These
so
are guys.
angry about
These
it.
are. It's because they have been cursed by a witch, and they have to help 100 women to have the curse lifted, and they're like, "Oh, all these self-possessed women won't let me help them and lift this curse."
I want to get
Why
free
am I
of this
finding
curse.
so many self-actualized women? I need to move back to the country where people accept help.
Traditional women that allow help.
So Hannibal Lecter likes to play cool mind games. He's the most insufferable intellectual, which is like I use like anagrams and palindromes and weird little riddles that you have to solve. Like
It would
Here's a
suck
word search,
to be
Clarice.
his friend.
Clarice, join me in this escape room.
Clarice, I've slid you this Shylock Fox. Find the differences, Clarice. Can you do it?
So, whatever. Let's just fucking blow past some plotting. There's
You've
problematic. There's problematic characterization of the sort of like identity of Buffalo Bill. At some point in time, Hannibal Lecter gets let out of prison and brought to a weird airplane hangar somewhere closer to DC to kind of strike a deal with the senator.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work out. And so when they put him back in some sort of like temporary lockdown in a fancy museum, like a places that have things under glass, and he's in like a big ballroom basically in a big.
It's very cool.
It's very cool.
Very cool.
Full cage basically.
Full cage.
It seems like he's on display.
Police barricades surrounding the cage.
Yeah.
The guards sitting several feet away from the police barricade.
Right.
It's very much like, no, we know. Like,
Right.
we know this guy is a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, they do. I've always felt like this movie does a very good job of, like, everyone knows the stakes with Hannibal Lecter. Like, everybody, it's not a situation where people just like, oh, wow, you're making really stupid decisions. It's just like, I felt like everybody who deals with Hannibal Lecter is, for the most part, like,
Aware of
it's
the
all
deal.
reasonable.
Yeah.
Like, they all are legitimately scared. And what ends up getting them is hubris. Like,
Well,
it's Chilton's.
We should say that there's a Chekhov's pen in this where like at one point in time before he's moved out of his terrifying Baltimore dungeon, the hubristic doctor leaves this gold pin behind, and then the camera is telling you everything you need to know to be unnerved.
It's
like,
great.
Yeah. It's just zooming in on everything that's like, this fucking sucks. Just heads up.
Yeah.
Put it in the back of your head.
The tension that it builds is just like fucking great in that moment.
Stuff usually flies right by me, but also I felt like the symbolism was so in your face. Like butterflies everywhere.
Yeah, the butterflies are like pretty heavy-handed.
A red light on her face. Like
cool.
these.
It is like cool ass filmmaking though, where it's like she looks at a picture of evidence of the last person he ate, and it's like we don't see the picture, but it's almost like the picture is reflecting red light back at her. It's like cool.
And we're just watching
movies.
Watching her look at that picture is so affecting because it's the first time that she's seen what Hannibal Lecter can do.
Yeah.
And Jodie Foster fucking earns her Academy Award in that single moment, I think.
Yeah.
It's just like, God damn, wow. I feel like I've seen some really awful shit.
She's like, I'm going to use all this goodwill in 10 years to help exonerate my
My
friend
good
Mel
friend
Gibson.
Mel Gibson.
Oh.
Emma, do you want to talk us through what was probably your favorite part of the movie, which is like the exciting heist?
Oh,
the
sure.
jailbreak for
Yeah, I mean, it was scary and it had my anxiety up. But when he kills the jail guards and you know it's coming, and that's a famous scene that I had seen before.
That's interesting.
That
is,
or at least part of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know what it was, why I had seen that part, but I had.
It's probably the best sequence in the movie, I think.
Yeah.
And you may have seen it on like TV or something.
Yeah, I saw it on some. No, it was like someone. It was like a clip show, or it was like
About filmmaking kind of thing.
I don't
like,
remember, but I don't think it showed them getting killed, or if it did, like anyway, he kills 2 guards with a pen clip, well, and a gun, and a
And
club.
a nightstick.
Yeah,
So
nightstick.
he
He uses
locks
that
up
to,
one guard and then kills the other one and then kills the one he locks up. So kills these 2 guards. All the cops. I didn't realize there were going to be all those cops downstairs, even though we had seen them before. So there are like 30 cops downstairs guarding the building, and they keep seeing the elevator move, and they're like, "Oh shit, what's going on?"
That's another great thing where it's tracking, just showing you the needle on the elevator. It's like, it's going
What
to
floor
5.
it's
Hey,
on.
why are we going to 5? Oh shit, it's coming back down.
Yeah.
And then it stops at 3. And it's just
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
simple, but it's so tense.
And then they go up. They find the 2 bodies.
So one is like Veronica said, is like basically crucified
Gutted.
and gutted.
Mm-hmm.
And a very, I mean, he's
With
got a
like an
sense for the
American flag
Yeah,
behind
yeah.
it. It's very
he must have
dramatic.
he must have been a theater actor at some point in time in
Yeah.
his life.
Yeah.
Because he really knows how to set the stage,
Well, he's
stage
an
picture.
artist.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
definitely like
And he works quickly.
he's
He
very
works
So
extra.
that happened
so
real
quickly.
fast.
He's very strong,
Well,
presumably.
he had a plan. He'd probably been thinking about this for
Okay,
a while.
fair enough.
That's true. And we don't know when he did the elevator thing
Yeah.
to give them a signal.
True.
I mean, he couldn't have had that much time because they would have been like, why are the guards not coming down? So then you see, and I don't know, like pretty quickly you realize that one of the bodies is actually him.
Well, and I think
Well-
this is why, like, because you called it.
Did
Yeah.
you guys not know that
Well,
right away?
I didn't know it the first time I saw that movie.
Really?
No.
I
Straight
thought it
up.
was very obvious. that
It
was
looked
his
like
face.
Anthony Hopkins in
Yeah.
Well,
retrospect,
once
but
you know it's Anthony Hopkins, it's obviously Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
But if you're just caught up in the moment of watching the scene,
Uh-huh.
you just think you're buying what the cops are saying.
Yeah.
Hannibal Lecter's escaped. Oh, this guy's here. Hey, he's still breathing.
Yeah.
And they like do it again. Like I feel like do a very good job of reinforcing like that's who that is.
this is why you'll never get caught slipping, though, because like you
I
are
saw that.
looking
Well,
for
I'm
the
always
red
paranoid.
herring.
Yeah, and like, I mean, my friend did tell me plot by plot. I don't remember that part from her story.
Uh-huh.
It didn't stick out to me, but it's very possible that I called it.
Veronica, this was your first time seeing the movie.
Did you see it
Yes.
coming?
Did you see that coming?
I didn't until Emma pointed it out, and then I was like, it does look like Anthony Hopkins. So then
Once it's made clear to you.
Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, okay,
Body
we know
type
that's
and
gonna
face.
happen.
And even I've seen it, and even still, like when he's because when you were saying like, oh, that's him, and I couldn't really remember what transpired, and I'm like, is it that? Like even still, I'm still following the kind of like misdirects of the movie because the person there's all these lacerations on the face of the person that they rush into the ambulance, and so I was like, no, because why would he cut on his own face? Like, and even when he's in the ambulance and attacks everybody in the ambulance, I was like, yeah, see, there's cuts on his face. So when he fucking stands up and pulls off the fake face that he's wearing,
And scalp.
oh yeah.
how does it work medically? Like,
I
how do you
mean-
separate skin from tissue?
I don't want to think about that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think you just cut it off.
Yeah, it's like skinning a deer for me.
I've never done it.
yeah.
So,
Well-
sounds horrible.
I don't know. Yeah,
It's like skinning
I've
an
never done it
orange.
either.
Well, we wear leather jackets, guys. Put two and two together.
Some of us don't.
Some of us don't. I wear vegan leather, so
I don't
Skinned
think I own.
vegetables.
I'm sure I own something that's leather.
Yeah. Well, so he escapes. I mean, that is the thing that is crazy about this movie, where it's like there's 2 targets. One of them gets away scot-free because he's too good of a sort of like literary character to get got in one movie. And so he's gone. He's like in the wind. And Jodie Foster's like, oh, he won't come after me. It's like gauche or it's beneath him. And so like he gets away.
He's done. Yeah, he's out of the movie.
Like this is the sort of thing where like, because I think my like moral calibration is a little fucked up because like, I mean, you're excited he gets away. Like you want him to win, right?
He's a likable villain because he's so dramatic and fun.
She was also like super cool that he escaped. She's like, nah, he won't come for me.
It's wild.
Yeah, I would not be that calm.
I would be like, oh my God.
Shut it down.
Out.
She understands him.
Yeah.
She's like, nah, we cool.
Yeah. But I often think that I get excited for like I think that show Breaking Bad, like everyone's like, Walter White's obviously a villain now and we don't want him to win. I'm like, no, to the very end. He's done all these horrible things. I still want to see him get away.
Right.
So I'm bad sometimes at understanding the moral rules of movies.
I think that's common.
writing.
Yeah, I think that's just an indication that the characters.
Oh, so I'm not a bad person? Thanks,
no,
guys.
You're not a bad
No, I
person.
always want the bad guy to
Will
win.
this hold up in court as a sort of like
Absolutely. As your attorney,
We'll be
I'm
character
advising you that you're
witnesses.
covered.
Thanks, guys. And so then we have to just sort of like resolve. I mean, what's interesting also about this movie is it's like it kind of like shoots its wad.
Oh, Jesus.
You mean throws
Literally.
its wad?
It throws its wad by the end of the second act because it's like, I mean, what a baller move to sort of like done and dusted, wrap up and dispose of the most compelling character in the movie, and then still have this whole climax that you have to deal with. And the climax is still exciting. You're not like, it sort of peaked once he was out of the picture. It's
still so
it's so
terrifying.
fucking terrifying. So she goes, she uses like clues and police detective work to basically track down unwittingly where Buffalo Bill is living by basically figuring it.
Yeah, well, she stumbles upon him. So like she knows the town roughly.
Yeah.
Because she figures out that there is a
the third body discovered was his first victim.
Exactly.
And,
yeah.
He must have known the victim.
Exactly. Yeah. You hunt what you know. And then the redirect, one of the all-time great redirects, I think.
Yeah,
in this
it's very
movie.
good.
It's so effective.
Yeah.
So Jack Crawford calls Clarice.
Clarice's boss at the FBI.
Yeah, Clarice's boss at the FBI, and she's like, or actually, I think she calls him. I can't remember.
Yeah, she calls him because she's like, blah blah blah. I got news, and he's like, no,
it's fine. We got it. We got it. We found him. We're on the way now.
Your woman
I don't know how you got
ramblings.
20 guys are on a plane and we're going to another place. We figured it out.
Yeah.
We got a lady.
Rounded up the boys.
She's like, okay, so I'm gonna go dispatch of this guy by myself.
Yeah.
So she calls him in, and they're on the way to get him. And what I noticed in this moment too, because I knew, obviously that the redirect was coming, but when he's on that plane, they do a very good job because they already kind of tried to redirect you with Lewis Friend, but they throw that away pretty quickly. They don't invest a lot. They're like, we know you know this is not real. But in this moment, they're like, no, it is James Gumb. We know this because here's the evidence. I'm laying it out. And then not only that, here's a picture of Ted Levine I'm going to hold up, and I'm Jack Crawford. I just kind of nod to it and give it to another guy. So we know we're going on the way to the right guy.
So it was the right actor?
It was him. They know it's James Gumb. The only thing is they have the wrong address. He's not at the actual address where he's listed at.
Oh, really? Because see, we always have like this impressionistic kind of vibe when we watch this because we're talking and also not really paying attention. So I didn't get that bit of plotting. Yeah, we're straight up not watching.
There are things I miss.
Sure. Well, honestly, that's something I just caught for the first time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I knew before, obviously, that they knew it was him and they went to the wrong house.
Right.
But I never caught that detail about him looking at a picture and realizing, oh, that's the movie telling me that, don't worry, these people definitely are going to find
Jodie
him.
Foster's safe.
Exactly. Yeah. Jodie Foster's
the
safe.
character you're have
I
a sympathy
totally
with.
believed it too, and I'm like, all her work was for nothing.
Right.
You think that she's not going to get to cuff him.
Those
I mean, I
SWAT dudes.
knew about the ending, so I knew that
Of course.
she had to be in the basement with him, and I still got tricked by it.
And if we think about the mechanics of storytelling, of course, that's not what would happen.
Yeah.
But so we're doing all this sort of like cross-cutting, sort of building this sort of tension, and then the SWAT team smashes down the door. It's an empty house. At the same time, 400 miles away, Jodie Foster knocks on the door, and Buffalo Bill answers, and she's just doing a routine check. Once again, he invites her into her house. I think I've got she's trying to track down a woman who used to employ the first woman who was killed. He lives in the house now. He obviously has the murder basement. He invites her in. She figures
the
out
greatest line in the movie,
I feel like we need
which
to
I need to highlight.
capture it,
It's my
like take the
absolute
video.
favorite.
Do the beats of it.
So she's talking to him about that, and she's talking about the first victim. She's like, "Do you know I can't remember, Freddie,
Frederica.
Frederica," and he goes, "No," and goes, "Oh wait."
Oh,
Was she a great big fat person?
Oh,
And then Jodie Foster goes, "She's a big girl, sir, yes." It's the
So deadpan.
they're not
It's
like
so
body
dead-
friendly.
It's such a great reaction because she's like, "Oh, yes,
Yeah.
she was fat." Okay,
Yeah, no body positivity in this movie. This movie's transphobic.
Yeah.
This movie has,
And Nazi stuff going on.
well, I mean, we have
Well,
to make
but
him
that was
a
the bad
tried
guy.
and true villain. It's like this guy's the worst, right? He's got a woman. He's maybe a little too sympathetic though, because his dog likes him. So it's like, all right, we need to really lock this up. We need to see him at one point in time. Just set something down on a handmade quilt that's got swastikas.
But you're right. It's not doing any favors for it not being transphobic to have the trans character be a Nazi.
Right.
yeah.
They were also saying he just like didn't know who he was, so he thought maybe I'll try being a woman, or maybe he was like maybe I'll try being a Nazi.
I think that's what it's trying to say, and honestly, I think that may be the implication with the Nazi stuff. Is he's just trying on all these different identities.
Right.
Yeah,
Like if you see some of the Polaroids in his basement, it's like him with like strippers, and he's like got like a trucker thing going on. It's like that doesn't seem like the guy that I
He's
see.
putting on I mean, it is a hell of a life hack to sort of like kill your way to your new self.
Right, yeah.
It's like, I don't know what shoe fits. I don't know. I'm gonna try to build a skin suit. Maybe that'll be the thing.
Maybe
that
that's my
finally-
thing.
That'll
You know,
help.
Yeah.
I just need to find my bliss.
Some
and-
people are into trains, model trains.
So I think.
But he's a dog lover. That's the part I just don't get.
Well, I mean, like he's not a monster.
Well,
Wait, yes, he is.
yes, he is.
That dog. Did you guys notice the dog is like pristine, but everything
Yeah.
else
It's
is
gross.
disgusting.
Filthy.
Well, he loves
So
it.
he is taking good care of
Of the
Precious.
dog,
Yeah.
of the little pudgy
It's a really cute little
sheepdog.
dog, Darla.
Fat little dog.
It was adorable.
Well, so the senator's daughter's stuck in this horrible well. You finally got to see the famous scene. It puts the lotion on his skin, or else it gets the hose again. Put the lotion in the basket. So now you have that little bit of the zeitgeist
Yeah.
colored in. Cool.
Isn't it so fun that we just say that lightly as
Yeah.
like a fun thing? And it's like he's asking her to put lotion on her skin to
so he
like
can skin her.
treat
Yeah.
her skin so he can wear it.
Jodie Foster also, there was a point where she was explaining how they need to be like fat because then they need to lose weight so their skin's loose.
He
Is that-
starves them so the skin is loose. I was like,
Does that act? Oh,
I'm
I
like-
guess that does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you
that's
lose a bunch
true.
of weight very quickly, you get
Your
loose
s-
skin.
yeah.
and then it's easier
But
to.
why does that matter
It's easier to.
It's easier to cut.
for cutting it off?
Fillet.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I guess we answered the question from 10 minutes earlier. What's
How
it like
do
to
you-
skin
what is it
something?
like?
Well, now we know.
We
so
know.
question answered. So so he runs away and runs down into his basement. Jodie Foster's in his house. I'm still not clear on like is he supposed to be the son of the dead woman in the bathtub? Because he must have
The
because
skin
he's
goop?
like a tailor the way that she supposedly was.
Oh.
So is he? Was that he? And he goes like, "Oh, I think I've got her son's card here. Is he her son?
Oh,
Did he
maybe.
kill his
Oh,
own mother?
I never thought
That had
about
never
because
occurred to me.
he's got to have sewing skills, and the
Yeah.
mother. So okay, cool.
Oh,
That makes sense.
Yeah, right. That tracks.
But
Cool,
then
cool, cool.
wouldn't her last name? Well, maybe not.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fake identity. I don't know.
That's a really good. I hadn't thought of that.
Well,
And so supposedly Federica, who he killed first, was somebody who was in his life. So he must, because his mom was employing her, he
Yeah.
must have seen her a lot of her.
Yeah, I guess that's
All right,
what
cool.
they're trying to say.
We just mine hunted this motherfucker.
Do you think those pictures she found in Frederica's room were
He
supposed
took.
to have been taken by him?
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Possibly.
Okay.
I
Definitely,
think
definitely,
so.
definitely. Oh, upsetting. How sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like it's a sad movie.
It's very upsetting about the world.
Yeah. I just hate that too, like, politeness is weaponized. Basically, it's like, okay, it's bad. All right, so let's move on. So now it's basically just a kind of like cat and mouse game in this horrible. We're gonna another horrible
creepy
dungeon.
basement.
It's sort of like built out, and there's different rooms. It's labyrinthine, but there's still weird cobblestone walls. All very upsetting. Meanwhile, I mean, we don't talk a lot about Catherine, who's a real
So
salty
great.
mouthed badass.
Yeah, she's real sassy.
My favorite line is like, Clarice is there to save her, and she's like, "I'm gonna be right back," and she goes, "Don't leave, you fucking bitch."
Oh yeah.
You know what? I would
She's
be grumpy
saving
too.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's well within her right.
Yeah,
She's
I
been
would
through a
be-
lot.
Senator's daughter, guys.
I love Jodie Foster's intensity as she's like checking her corners in that whole moment. She's like, "Shut the fuck up, Karen." She's just
Please be
like,
quiet.
"Okay, thank you."
But I really like Catherine because she
Me
she
too.
had a plan. Like she wasn't just like
Very
some.
resourceful.
She was smart.
Yeah.
She was trying. She was trying.
And
Yeah.
she was logical. She's like, "That's dumb. What you're doing."
And she's smart enough to snare that dog, pull it down, and
Yeah.
yeah. She's a real hero. She deserved to live. All those other women were too witless.
No, we did not
no,
say that.
That's not what we're saying.
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
just
that's
saying
all.
that she was cool.
I do think that there is a dark tendency to victim blame when we watch these movies because
Oh,
we're
yeah.
always like,
Yes.
"You fucking idiot! What are you doing?"
'Cause
But
We say we wouldn't do these things, but there are definitely times
Yeah.
when I've done very dumb things where if I was in the presence of a murderer, I would have been killed.
yeah,
I would like to remove myself. I feel like
Kyle never does that.
I
stuff.
don't do that
Yeah.
stuff. I
Well-
definitely, when I watch this movie, am really surprised
And sympathetic.
at the
Well, going
times.
down into dark basements, like
Definitely not
by
a smart.
yourself,
Yeah, doesn't
with
call
a
for
dangerous
backup.
person. We're never
Because-
gonna do that.
Because here's the thing: if he kills, like, what is the end game? If he does kill Jodie Foster, does he get away with it? Like, does he run? Or, I mean, they know what town she's in, right? So they would eventually be able
probably
to find
runs.
him out. He runs.
I think
Yeah,
if he
because they
kills her-
knew she was talking to those
yeah,
people.
knocking on doors. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'd figure it out. They'd find it eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Jack Crawford, when they are in the empty house,
Uh-huh.
there's that
He
slow
immediately-
zoom
He says
in, he goes,
Clarice.
Clarice.
Clarice,
Yeah.
So then there's that famous scene. I mean, this is like one of those movies that is so well regarded that it's just
chock
everybody,
full.
you've just seen it if you haven't seen it. And so he's got Chekhov's night vision goggles. He clicks those bad boys on and shuts off the power. And then we just have really good blind acting where she's like feeling around in the dark, and he's doing that creepy thing where it's like
Almost touches her hair.
So what is
Yeah.
he doing there? Is he observing her in
Yeah,
a
he's
sadistic
power
way?
dynamic.
Relishing in his power.
yeah,
Yeah.
And
I
he's
mean,
gonna
he's
kill her, but first
crazy.
he's gonna sort of
Yeah.
savor it.
Because he could have killed her right away.
Well,
Yeah, but he's like
he's bonkers.
he probably
Yeah.
has a boner.
Yeah, he's loving it.
Oh,
He's
no.
Like, I got him again.
I'm sorry.
He's loving it.
We should rewatch the movie
No.
with Boner Watch, and then just track who's got a boner because all the men have boner. Do you like to drink beer and eat burgers? Boner.
Boner.
Like, hey, Baltimore's a cool town if you know the right guy.
Boner. Every cop in that funeral
I
home,
think-
boner.
I
The
wish
guy
it
who
was like-
threw cum at her.
Well, arguably, I mean, depending on how long that sort of
Post-boner.
refactoring period
Sure.
is, he might be softening. He's half a stock.
I mean, he was still
pretty.
going when she walked by,
True.
though.
Well, Hannibal says, he's like, he may be a pervert, but he can't go again that quickly, or some shit like that.
Ooh, boner or not.
Oh, God.
The dude who is the morgue attendant who helps them flip over the body, who's like sort of a genteel Southern man. He's like, what
Wait,
is
the
this?
one that
boner.
the one that didn't need the
The
stuff to
smelling
not
salts.
smell the dead body.
Yeah, they all put this smelling stuff underneath
Right.
their nose, and the fucking mortician, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But he's just like, I'll have this.
What she's having.
I'll have it come in normally.
Well, I think I don't.
I'll drink straight from the tap.
I mean, a lot of people don't like their work, so it's arguable that he does not have a boner because it's like a real drudge. But also,
Yeah.
like maybe like follow your bliss, do what you love, and so maybe this is it for him. Boner. I'm saying boner.
I think she's really pretty, but like the men were like so unbelievably enamored.
Well, I think
yeah.
it's that sort of like
It's just the idea
masculine environment. She's like the lone.
Yeah.
woman and
It's
all
her
of these
point
sort
of view.
Yeah.
The movie's from her point of view, so it's,
Yeah.
it's everything is heightened.
Right.
I think it's all there.
That makes
Yeah, and
sense.
at one point in time, they're like, "Oh, Hannibal Lecter hasn't seen a woman in 8 years." It's like everybody has that sort of same kind of like
Yeah.
voracious gaze, though, because they're in all these like hierarchical masculine spaces. Like there's that great shot where Crawford, is that what the boss's name? Leaves with the sheriff. They're at like in this back room at the funeral home, and then she just sees this sort of like
circle of
men just staring at her and like literally looking her up and
The
down.
one
It's like,
the entire time is looking her up and down
Yeah.
for the entire scene.
He's a cool guy right up front.
Well, he was given the direction to look her up and down, so he kept doing it.
Yeah, he literally just kept doing it.
And Jonathan Demme's like, okay, cut again.
Or he's a real director's actor, and he's like, yes, you did exactly what Fincher style. It's like, take 200. And then, homeboy cocks his gun right before he's about to shoot her, and she uses
Whips around.
her impeccable training and lights him up. Movie's over.
Yeah.
It's
she
not,
graduates from the
though.
FBI.
Bravo
then
for her.
She gets
She
a
gets a
phone
phone
call.
call.
Well, not before we realized the two bug perverts showed
Oh,
up
yeah,
at the
yeah.
graduation.
She invited them to her graduation.
Yeah, so
which is
thin
wild.
on the ground are like romantic opportunities and like opportunities for male friendship that she's now best buds. Well, she's orphaned, right? She's got all of her family.
She's
dead,
an orphan.
So.
She
her
has
only
her one
friend
friend.
is already in the FBI.
I felt
So
like
she's-
the interaction with Crawford after that, like every moment was weird, and I was like, what are they trying to portray?
She's looking for a daddy.
I think, exactly. Her
But
dad
Not in a
died.
sexy sense, like
Right.
she
Yeah.
needs a father in her life,
Yeah.
so she
But
seeks out.
It felt creepy.
I do think it was unclear. Like, I think they needed to clarify that a little bit more that
Yeah.
it wasn't creepy. Although I do give them the point that maybe that's on purpose, that, like, it's supposed to be nebulous because even father figures in your
Right,
life
yeah.
can turn into creeps.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not my
I
real
think
father.
It's one of those things where like the movie's trying to say Hannibal was right in that he has thought about fucking her.
Yeah.
But also she is a
He's
pupil of his or whatever. you
Yeah.
know. Then there's mutual respect.
He's
there.
maybe like on the scale of decency, he's the most decent man
Yeah,
in her life.
I think
but
so.
still,
I know
scruples. Who knows?
I know we mentioned this while watching it. Did we say she's a trainee?
I think we might have said it
crazy
way-
high level tasks.
Well, it's just wild.
The
It's
entire
wild to me
movie.
that she's in that town by herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That she's a student, ostensibly, but like it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's weird. I mean,
let
this
her-
is movie rules.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
movie rules.
Yeah.
And also to me, I think maybe a lot of it is just kind of like she's going rogue a little bit.
Okay.
Like Jack Crawford is definitely aware and is like okay with it. But there is that scene with the bureaucrats where the guy's like, "You had a trainee give a fake thing to Hannibal
Deal to
Lecter."
yeah.
So I would imagine whoever the director of the FBI
Yeah.
is probably not pleased this is happening, but they don't care because she caught him.
And then so earlier I was saying it's like, oh, it's really ballsy to sort of like dispose of maybe your most compelling character midway through the movie. He's not gone because, like you're saying, Emma, she gets a faithful
She
phone
gets
call.
a phone call at her graduation. Clarice.
Good
Hello,
impression.
Clarice.
How are you, Clarice?
Dr. Lecter.
And that's a good
Dr.
Jodie
Lecter.
Foster.
No, Dr. Lecter.
Tay in the wind.
Tay. Chicka-may-may blowing in the wind.
Oh, can we watch Nell some episode?
We'll watch Nell for a palate cleanser.
We should pair
has
these
scary
movies
moments.
with sort of like we're like sommeliers where we're like, if you're gonna watch this to come down.
Although I don't think Nell would do it.
No, it's
still creepy.
It's sort of a
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, she lives in that creepy cabin, and at one point you see a skeleton.
Oh, okay. Well, horror movie if a skeleton's in it.
Based on our
is
really
the skeleton
thin logic.
dancing and playing xylophone with its bones? Because if so, it's definitely a horror movie.
But
Sup-
Anthony Hopkins,
Yeah,
I mean,
surprise.
Hannibal.
Give me another hit.
He's
of
somewhere
that Lecter.
tropical.
And he's
he's
gonna-
wearing a wig and a hat
Oh, is it a wig?
Do you think it's a
Yeah.
scalp?
because his hair's long.
Yeah.
It's long and blonde.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, a lot of times passed.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm very dumb.
He had
I-
a comb over
Oh,
earlier.
maybe it is a lot of times past, but I
No,
think
guys.
it's a wig.
He had
I won't let
gray
you go down this
hair.
road. It was
well,
a
it might
wig.
be though because she was still a trainee. She's still got to finish up just because she gets her.
He had
It's-
gray hair and a comb over. It couldn't have gone long, flowy, and blonde.
Oh, you're
Okay.
right. He had like full hair up.
Yeah.
front. Okay, good call.
Well, he
I'm
was
sorry for
wearing
not
a
yes
hat.
handing you on this.
He was
but
wearing a hat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, I never noticed that Buffalo Bill in his famous tuck scene is wearing a scalped woman's hair. I was just like, oh, he's got kind of an Axl Rose look. It's probably a wig. No, it's a human wig.
And so I do remember my friend. Shout out to Emily Cammon.
What up,
I
Emily?
don't remember her
Thank
last
you,
name.
You were
now.
with Daddy, Emily?
Uh,
Get at us
she,
online. Rate and review.
Rate and
Rate and review, Emily.
She did a good, thorough job telling me everything from this movie.
But no, you were giving too much credit to Emily. This happened 25 years ago. You remembered
Yeah.
everything from
Truly
it. So it's like
shocking.
your brain might be a prison.
guys, help.
We're just filling it with all sorts of new stuff because I'm like, oh, it'll dissipate. You'll be fine.
No, that's not how my life works.
It is a steel trap that is not giving up one plot device.
She remembered literally
Every beat of
everything.
it. It was
Well, I
wild.
didn't remember that he was the body, but
Yeah.
I
But
must
maybe
have.
you
I
did
must
I
have.
think you
in your
did,
mind.
man.
I must
Yeah.
have.
You nailed every beat of this movie. Before anything happened, you were like, "Oh, is this where he?" And like, you didn't say
Yeah.
it, but it was every single time.
Yeah. So,
But-
like, we're not on Patreon, but like, throw a few bucks Emma's way because she's really going through it.
It's been hard. But I remember her telling me the pun he says on the phone to Clarice. He's like, "I'm meeting an old friend for lunch."
For dinner.
And we
Actually,
see- We see for dinner, lunch, whatever. We see Dr. What's his face get off the plane,
creepy,
and
creepy.
Anthony Hopkins is looking at him. Yum yum
Yum,
yum.
yum, yum, yum.
I'm meeting an old friend for tapas.
And then they turn him into a cartoon turkey, so we know
He is
what's
going to
gonna happen.
Stink lines coming
Yeah.
off of him.
stink lines.
Food lines.
Yeah.
And then we just watch a
Pleasant
Caribbean street
Yeah.
scene for a moment
The
while the credits
long,
roll.
Long
Yeah.
hold on that tropical street.
So I think I'm like psyched about this because this is one of these ones that like I knew just knowing you before we even started to do this, that anecdote about your friend telling it to you.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, I mean, how do you feel that you saw this movie?
I
That you-
honestly can't believe it. It's like, just like, it reminds me of like when I lost my virginity or like got a tattoo, and it's like
What?
all of a sudden
What?
my life has changed.
Wow.
My
Emma,
identity is
what?
different.
in that sort of like teen rom-com
Like,
way,
I'll
everyone's going to
never-
be like, Emma, you look different. Did you finally get
She
fucked by Silence of the Lambs?
Flips her hair.
Like,
are
but not in a
glowing
good
with
way.
sweat.
Become a
But
woman.
not in a good way. Like, I can't go back.
You can't erase it.
But
Oh wow, that is amazing.
Oh man.
yeah,
Amazing.
Truly amazing.
I
Let's make that
definitely-
happen. Come on.
Oh, I thought you meant traumatic and amazing.
me too. Me too.
Use that, please.
Traumazing is our new
Traumazing.
category. So you guys, thumbs up, thumbs down. Was this movie traumazing? Wait, so Veronica, where does
Yes.
this fit into? You brought Alien, Scream, and then this Oscar-winning abomination. Did it freak you out? Was it or do you feel proud of yourself?
Bit. I'm really. I've been wanting to watch it. I think
Uh-huh.
I had more fear to see it than once I actually saw it.
It's always the case, I think.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
literally till the end of the movie.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
And I really liked the plot, and I feel like, especially these days, scary movies just have awful plots.
They're just They're
Yeah,
horrible.
They don't make any sense.
Oh, I just meant because all the subject matters mean. You mean like logically they're
yes,
bad. Okay,
logically.
fair enough.
You watching the wrong movies, girl.
No,
Yeah.
every single movie has plot holes. And,
Well, yeah, to an
Whip
extent,
whaps
every
and-
movie I think. has.
yeah.
Shall we review this bad boy?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so then what we do is you like thumbs up, thumbs down, just like in terms of like quality, and then we rate scariness based on sort of like what you would need to come down.
All right.
It's complicated. What is our rating system this week? You'll catch on. You'll figure it out. It's dumb.
Jogs through Quantico.
Second helping of lamb chops. Ooh.
Tapes of classical music.
Ooh, oversized slice of FBI.
Just getting to snuggle that chubby old dog.
Oh, Darla!
Oh, yeah.
I need like
Precious.
1 through 5 precious cuddles.
Okay.
Do you
cool.
think she's okay?
that
Yes.
dog.
The dog.
Yeah.
Oh, she's gonna get that woman is gonna channel all of her sort of like coping and sort of support and nurturing into that dog. It's like you and me,
We went
precious.
through
We got
this
out of there.
together.
Yeah, exactly. We got out of there.
Honestly,
You mean Darla?
that was
Yeah.
my favorite part of the whole fucking movie.
It's a dog
That
survive.
Catherine walks out of the house with the
With the
dog,
dog.
and it is clear to me that they are gonna be together forever.
Right.
Sure, yeah.
A true love story. Something beautiful can come out of all.
Even
of
though
this
she
night.
was threatening to kill her earlier.
Well, that was a survival technique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
She's
don't
whispering to Precious after.
It's like, okay.
that was all just
I think
for the show.
Inside, I know she wouldn't.
No.
Catherine's
No.
an animal lover.
Oh no, she'd kill that fucking. Come on, man.
Well, if
you
she
gotta get out
killed
of
it, she'd be screwed. She'd have
Yeah,
no
she'd
leverage.
just get
against
mad.
All right, you guys are savvier than I am. I'd be like, snap! What now?
Oh shit!
Gunshot, dead.
I need 5 cuddles with Precious, but more.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go higher if you feel like you want to go higher.
Can I also just have some Xanax? Like, really, if
Yeah.
anyone has Xanax?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're
We'll talk about it
licensed,
offline.
if you're a licensed pharmacologist listening to this podcast,
And
please
wanna
get in touch.
prescribe me
you want to
after an
sponsor the
appointment.
podcast? That'd be tight. Or that sort of like weird fly-by-night CBD oil vendor. Hey, get at us. We're not too proud to sponsor anything. So you say 5 cuddles, and
Oh,
then
at least.
thumbs up,
Plus.
thumbs down.
I mean, thumbs up, it is a good movie.
Yeah, it is.
I will absolutely never watch it again.
And you don't even want to talk about it, I would imagine. It's just
I mean,
like, let's put it in
I
the
don't mind
past.
talking about it, but like, I will never ever watch it again. But it is good. It's not like a bad movie. It was
Yeah.
great. I understand like why it was so. The reason I'm so fucked up right now is because it was so good.
So let's check in. How are we doing? How is that compared to like what we've
This
watched?
is by far the worst,
Interesting.
scariest thing.
Very
we've
Good to know.
watched.
Fascinating. All right. Just good, interesting.
Because it was good.
Context. Yeah, I think that is.
It's
there's something to be said
realistic.
for that.
Well,
I mean, it's not realistic in some ways, but like
I don't know.
heightened.
creepy serial killers are real.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
The idea behind
this
it is real.
This
explores
is why
them
I'm
in a
saying
real
like
way.
this is more troubling than the fantastical because this could,
Conceivably happen.
yes,
literally anywhere.
But maybe it
Yeah.
prepares you also.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm not gonna do these stupid things.
yeah. It's a cautionary tale, and
Yeah.
we're all a little bit better for it. Kyle, break it down. You've seen it 700 times.
Baby,
Would you
you-
see it for 701?
You know I'm giving this a thumbs up,
Okay.
baby. Yeah, big thumbs up. Scariness rating. That's tough. Again, it's like I feel like I have to put myself back into the first time I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably say I'd maybe give it a 4. I mean, it stuck with me.
Mhm.
It definitely stuck with me. It made an impression.
Yeah.
Lots of very scary images in it. It's just got all this like gothic horror stuff in it. The castle basement, but then like the flayed man and all that stuff. It's just
Sweet.
very affecting.
Lots of good stuff.
Yeah, lots of good stuff.
Lots of food for that. Veronica, break it down for us. How
I
many
de-
precious cuddles?
I would say 3 precious cuddles or 2 keeping up with the Kardashian episodes.
Fair enough.
Definitely a thumbs up. It was really good. Like I said before, I don't feel like too affected right now, but I swear to God, right before I go to sleep,
It's a slow burn.
it's gonna creep into my brain.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna need I'm probably gonna sleep with the lights on.
Fair
Oh,
enough.
I absolutely
yeah.
am.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will probably take my doctor prescribed anti-anxiety medicine.
Yeah.
Listener, hit us up. We got to pay these electric bills.
Yeah, man.
We're getting that Patreon up soon.
Yeah,
Donate.
I know, my poor roommates. I'm like, if I'm really making a difference in the electricity, I'm sorry.
I say thumbs up. I'm going 3.
What?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think that there's like things out there that are
Scarier.
just gonna like fuck me up. I still think from what we've done so far, if Dylan is listening, Inside is still the thing that had the most kind of profound detrimental effect on me.
Utterly insane.
Yeah.
It was bananas. And this doesn't have the viscera, because like when he pulls the face, like the skinned face mask off, and then his face looks like he's had one of those like blood facials.
Excuse
what?
me?
It's like called vampire facial sometimes. It's
Yeah,
like they
they
do so
do
much
it.
microabrasion that your skin does actually bleed a little
Oh
bit.
my God.
And then scabs over, and then when it comes off, it's supposed to be like super fresh.
Yeah,
And-
because you've
Because you basically like
flayed your skin
flayed
off.
your
you like
So-
scrape your so it's like people will like basically stay
Oh.
inside for 2 weeks waiting for it to heal. You can look it up on Instagram. It's
Beauty culture
fascinating.
is not
It's
toxic at
wild.
all.
But
That's
to me, it
insane.
just like that image is cool, not upsetting.
Yeah.
I think that like everything in the cage sucked because it's just like he's gonna bite someone's face.
Mhm.
When is it
was
gonna
very
happen?
stressful.
Yeah.
Everything in that climax at the end is tense, but I think also for me I'm like leaning like on, if this is on the horror line, I'm like leaning a little bit away from it as like horror because I think of like monsters and sort of like
Yeah.
slasher killers with a knife. And so
It's still
don't
horror.
worry about it. Don't get it.
It's just what we think of
Yeah.
when we think of horror.
No,
that doesn't
I know.
mean we're right.
I get what you're
and
saying.
what we think of, I'm scared of.
Right. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. It's just I think it's a thing with horror fans that, and I'm including myself in this, where there's like a chip on the shoulder where it's like it's because it's good. It like the only reason you're saying it is because it's good, not you, people. But like that's frustrating because what it does is it totally delegitimizes horror as a genre.
Yeah, totally.
Because you can never escape that. It's just this like ever expanding ceiling of like even Get Out, a movie that is like I think pretty clearly using the tropes of horror. It's just
he wants to distance himself so he can
thriller.
Yeah,
exactly.
That was a wild movie. I do think that though, like while the feeling in here, like I think normally when we watch this shit during the daytime, spoiler alert, it's Saturday. We try to turn the lights off, but there's still some sunlight streaming in here. It helps alleviate some of the tension. I think for the first time, having a scaredy cat trifecta, 3 cowards versus 1 Sherpa, made it worse.
Oh.
I think when there's
made
more
you feel
people in the
worse.
room who are uncomfortable, like
That
empathically
energy.
or whatever, you sort of soak it up. It did
Yeah.
not.
Maybe.
For me, it was like
You can't look to me for comfort.
no.
I definitely feel the opposite of that as the one person that had seen it and was like not super affected by it.
Yeah.
It was just this energy of like, oh man, these people. I feel like I've done something.
You're like a
to
bully.
damage you, even though I didn't even bring the movie.
No.
Yeah.
Like
We have Veronica to
yeah,
blame for
it's her
that.
fault.
Hey,
Blame her.
You made me do it.
We did, and we're glad
And we
you did.
appreciate it.
Glad you did it.
Well,
Me too.
let's do
Yeah.
some pluggy plugs.
Mhm.
So, Veronica, you got anything you want to plug? Where can people find you online? You got any shows coming up that you want people to come to?
Oh my God, I'm so bad about online. But Stool Pigeon every Sunday night, 8:30 at Cold Town.
Free.
Also, oh yes, free. Also, I'm in a improvised romance novel group called Harlequin.
Ooh.
It's very fun. I've seen it.
Thank you. We just won the Cold Town Throwdown, so we're having.
So you'll have a lot of shows coming
So
up.
we have a little run coming up. We're this Wednesday night at 8:30. If this is out by then, if not, we're performing.
It will be.
pretty much the whole run of that.
So Wednesday the 11th,
Yes,
Okay,
at
cool.
8:30.
Austin,
as
Texas,
well.
Cold Town Theater, $5, probably.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
affordable.
Cool. And then we should also say that this is coming out on the 10th of July. So the Friday, the 13th of that week, we are doing a live podcast recording. We're going to be watching Friday the 13th, the 1980 classic with Jason Voorhees ? And our guest will be Jen Brown of Women in Caskets and Red vs. Blue. It's very exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, and so that's 11:30, Cold Town Theater, Austin, Texas, $5. Please come out to that.
Make sure to watch the movie before you come. We're
Yes.
not watching the movie at the theater.
Because we don't want to stay up till 4 in the morning.
We don't want to stay up till 4 in the morning, and also legal reasons.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
Oh
can't
yeah,
screen
there's
it
that.
publicly.
Oh right, I forgot about that part. I just don't want to stay up that late.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you
But
can
we'll
find.
be,
yeah.
we'll be talking about it. We'll be maybe
Doing
showing
this.
some clips. We're
Yeah,
just doing
it'll be fun.
goofs.
It'll be a good old time. Yeah.
Can I plug one more thing?
Please
Are you
do,
done
yeah,
plugging? If you listen to this the day it comes out, cool, good for you. You get a secret treasure. Come see The Rose, the preview of The Rose at 8:30 p.m. at Cold Town Theater tonight, the 10th. I will be the Bachelorette.
Oh.
10 men, I don't know how many. Lots of men will be vying for my affections. It's all fake. It's all very, very funny and silly and dumb. And yeah, it's fun.
Excellent. So go check out all of those shows. And then, as always, we are at We Are Deaf Afraid on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
That's right.
That's it.
Oh,
Ooh.
wait, one more thing. If you want to post to our Facebook page with like suggestions of calming things I can watch after watching these things, that would be welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, any of that is helpful. And also, leave us a review on iTunes.
Yeah.
Rate and review us. Subscribe to the show if you're just trying out this one episode on Spotify or something. Follow the show. Subscribe to it. That helps us out a ton. We'd really love that.
Excellent. All right. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Veronica.
You're welcome.
All right.